Hey, Jason Lewis here, and today in the Auto Edit Garage, we're going to be doing an oil change on this 2002 Ducati Monster 750. Now, this is my commuter bike, and I put about 100 miles a day on it during the week, and luckily enough, I don't have to spend a lot of time on the freeway. A lot of times, I actually take a canyon up and back to work, and I'll do a future video on that. I just kind of overlook some of these things, and in the future, I will try to capture that on video and share with you guys. But for now, let's get started on this. I'm going to put it up on a rear stand. These things are cheap, and if you own a motorcycle, you should get one. I think this was a Cycle Gear $25 purchase, or maybe $19.99 purchase. It's a must-have if you own a motorcycle. So let's get started. So the oil change is not rocket science, obviously. You basically just need a pan to catch it with, a funnel to refill the oil with, some oil to refill it with, an oil filter, a couple of very basic tools, an Allen for the drain plug. I'm going to use this to remove the current oil filter off of the bike. It's a K&N filter with the pretty handy dandy nut welded to the bottom of it, so that'll make that easy. And then I got a little bit of Glad wrap here. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. So these rear stands are really quite easy to use. Just get the thing underneath the rear, get the bike on a balance point. Done. Now I don't have a preference on oil brand, but a buddy of mine recommends the AMSOIL, so we're going to give it a try. So I got the AMSOIL filter and the AMSOIL 10W40 to get me through the winter time with the bike. I'll let you know how I like it. So here's a cool little tip. You know, the exhaust pipe runs right below the bottom of the bike, so you're going to get oil on it. Now, if the bike's cold, like this bike is, use a little bit of Glad wrap, wrap the exhaust pipe, and then just pull the Glad wrap off. Boom, no problem. If the bike's hot or warm, use a little aluminum foil. Check this out. Okay, so since the oil filter and the drain plug both sit across in the way where you're going to get oil, even with the bike standing straight up on the pipe, and even if you wipe it off, it's going to smoke and smell a little bit the next time you ride. Now, that's no big deal, honestly, but it's nice. This is a cool little trick, cheapy little trick, to help just eliminate that problem. There you go. Get your oil pan in place. Let's get the oil out of this thing. Make sure to check your drain plug for any metal or anything that looks like it doesn't belong in there, because this little magnet will catch that stuff. And everything looks pretty good on this thing. It's got 29,000 miles on it, so it is an absolute workhorse. But it is kicking butt right now. Okay, then you just slide your pan over a little bit to get under your filter. You can actually use, you know, whatever you want. It's an 11/16 socket, fits it pretty easily, so there you go. And the filter is off. And let that empty and drain a little bit more, and then time to put the new stuff in. Alright, so now we put our drain plug back in, being careful not to cross thread anything. Like that, just finger tight for now. Clean out the oil filter pocket. Definitely want to feel, see if there's anything, see if there's an old seal ring inside there, which there was, and check for any other debris or anything else bad or nasty in there. Looks pretty clean. All right. We can move the pan, the catch pan, out of our way. Let's move our oil filter into place. Now for the oil filter, I like to take the seal ring off, and I don't fill the oil filter all the way. I actually just maybe halfway. You don't want to fill it to the top, but then you take a little bit of oil. I like to saturate the seal ring with oil, and that gives it a better seal. So then we'll put that back in place on the oil filter, and we'll screw that in place. Okay, clean my fingers off so I get a good grip, and I only tighten oil filters finger tight because I do want them to come back off at some point, and that's all they really need. And there you go, bottom's done. Let's fill this thing up with oil. Now for your oil fill plug, take that off, make sure it's as clean as it can be. Now this bike is a tired old workhorse. Make sure your ring is in decent shape, and this one is okay. So you can see there was an oil leak on one of these cooler lines a while back, and it has pretty much ruined this entire case cover. So I just enjoy it. One of these days we'll see if we'll restore it or if it's just going to live it the rest of its life as a workhorse. But I like it, so we'll keep her going. So everything looks good here. Everything looks very clean here. And let's fill it up. So when filling this thing, in my experience, I put the first 3 quarts in right away, because I know it can take those. And then I run the bike for a minute or so, turn it off, and let the oil settle. And then from there you can decide on how much more it's going to take. I found that different size oil filters will determine that. The K&N filter was quite large and actually took 3.5 quarts to fill the bike. We'll see, the AMSOIL filter is a little small. Okay, so we got 3 in there. You can see it starting to just haze up the viewing screen there. And I'll put the cap back on. We'll fire it up, let it run for a second, circulate the oil through, and figure out what else it needs. And then turn the choke on. We'll fire it up. Well, I'm looking at the window, and after those 3 quarts, it looks happy. So we're going to just leave it like that. So there it is, a quick oil change on a 2002 Ducati Monster 750. Now for some glorious 2-cylinder symphony for you out of this beautiful Remus exhaust. Hang tight, you're going to like this. All right, here you go.
Don't forget to recycle your oil.